Hi, this is my patient Brooke. I'm Carlisle. I'm her OT today. So I heard you're 8 weeks post-op of a rotator cuff tear. So the first thing we're going to do is just measure her range of motion. So we will start with shoulder flexion. And so the motion you're going to be doing is straight up like this, as far as you can without any pain. Okay. Right. So, let's see. So our axis is going to be at the headed humerus. We're going to line that up, and our stationary arm is going to be parallel to her trunk, and then our movable arm is going to be in line with her humerus and going with that through that motion. Alrighty, and you can go up. All right, and our patient has 125 degrees of shoulder flexion. Okay, and then now we're gonna do shoulder abduction. So this motion is gonna be with your thumb facing up. You're gonna come out to the side as far up as you can without any pain.
Okay.
Right, so our axis is going to be at the acromion process on the back of the shoulder. We'll line that up. The stationary is in line with her trunk again, and then the movable is going to be following that humerus through that range of motion. Okay, and let's see. All right, and you can go up. Perfect. Okay, and then that range of motion is 110. Okay, and then we're going to be doing, we'll do elbow flexion. So this movement is going to look like this, just kind of doing a bicep curl.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, I keep messing up.
Good. Okay, so our axis is actually going to be at the lateral epicondyle. Line that up, and our stationary is going to be in line with the humerus, and then our movable is just going to be following that forearm on the ulnar side, or sorry, the radial side, through that flexion motion. Go up. All right, and for her, we got 140. And then the last two we're going to do is external and internal rotation. So we're going to be starting up here like this. And then for this first one, external rotation, you're just going to be moving your arm up like you're waving by.
Okay. This way?
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so our axis is going to be at the olecranon process. The elbow. Our stationary is parallel to the floor or on that ulnar side of the forearm, and then our movable is just going to be following that forearm through that range of motion. Right, and you can go up. Okay, and Miss Brooke got 30 degrees of elbow flex or external rotation. And then our last motion is internal rotation. So you'll be right here again, and then you'll be just moving that forearm down so your fingers are pointing towards the floor.
Okay.
And same as the last one, our axis is at that acromion process. The stationary is parallel to the floor. And then our movable is going in that downward direction following that forearm. Okay. You can go down. All right. So our patient got 50, but for the sake of this video, we're going to say she got 60. Yes. So that would be 60. So for the sake of this video, I'm only measuring her affected arm, but I would, in the clinic, I would measure both sides. All right, Brooke, now we are going to be doing manual muscle testing. So I'm gonna test your strength. For the sake of this video, I'm just gonna be testing her affected arm, but in a clinic, I would be testing both arms. So our first manual muscle test we're gonna do is shoulder flexion. So I'm gonna be stabilizing at the scapula and the clavicle at the superior part of the shoulder. And she's gonna bring her arm up to 90 degrees. I'm gonna be applying pressure to the distal humerus. And so I'm gonna be applying pressure down. And so Brooke, don't let me break you. All right. So she would get a 3+. I was just able to apply slight pressure. Okay. And then our next one, we're gonna do shoulder abduction. So again, I'm gonna stabilize at that scapula and clavicle, the superior part. And she's just gonna bring her arm to 90. I'm gonna apply pressure again at that distal humerus, just above that elbow joint. All right, Brooke, don't let me push you down. All right, and that would be a 3+. I'm just able to apply slight pressure. Next, we're gonna do elbow flexion. So for this one, I'm going to be stabilizing at her elbow, and then I'm going to be applying slight pressure to the volar side of her distal forearm. All right, and I'm going to push you down, just don't let me push you. All right, and this one is 4+. I was able to apply moderate pressure during that motion. So for external rotation, we're gonna come up, just gonna come up to 90. And again, I'm just gonna stabilize at that elbow joint, and then I'm gonna apply pressure. Since I'm doing external rotation, I'm gonna apply pressure at the distal dorsal side of her forearm. So Brooke, just don't let me push you down. All right. So since this one was a little weaker, she actually wasn't able to take any of my pressure. I would give her a 3-. Okay. And then our last one is internal rotation. So she's gonna come up to that 90 degrees again, stabilizing at that elbow. And so I'm gonna apply pressure at the volar side distal forearm, and I'm gonna apply pressure up, Brooke, just don't let me break you, okay? All right, and I was able to apply slight pressure there, so I'll give her a 3+. All right, Miss Brooke, now we are gonna hop into some exercises that will help you strengthen those muscles on your affected side from your rotator cuff tear. So what we're going to be doing is some isometrics. So I will demonstrate them for you, and then I'll have you just do one set for me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to be using this wall, and when you do them, you'll just grab 2 kitchen towels. And the first one we're going to do is shoulder flexion. So, we'll do this right here. So one of them, you're going to stick underneath your arm right here. Just make sure that your arm is tucked into your elbow. You really want that 90 degrees elbow flexion. And then you're gonna bring this towel up against the wall, and then you're just gonna push forward into the wall. 10 times. We're gonna do, you do 3 sets of 10, but for the sake of this video, you'll just do 1 set, just 10.
Two, 3.
Perfect. The next exercise we're going to do is for shoulder abduction. So again, you're going to put 1 towel in between your elbow and your trunk to keep your arm tucked in, 90 degrees. And so we're going to be coming up to the wall here. And what you want to do is place your towel proximal at your proximal forearm, kind of near that elbow joint. So the motion we're going for is like this. So when you're going against the wall, you're doing that motion to strengthen those shoulder muscles. So you'll place it right there. Okay, and then you're just lifting up. And you just do 3 sets of 10, but you'll just do 1 set.
Like that?
Yes.
1,
And then
2, 3,
good.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
We're gonna do shoulder internal and external rotation. So you'll have that, again, that towel in between your arm. And then for this one, your towel is gonna be placed at that distal part of your wrist. And so for internal, you're gonna be wanting to just make that motion against the wall. So line your wrist up, make sure it's at 90, and then just squeezing in. Normally 3 sets of 10 of these, but we'll just do 1 set right here.
Nine, 10.
External, you're just gonna turn around. Yeah. Okay, so then the towel's gonna go at the dorsal part of your distal wrist, right here, or your forearm. And just again, making sure that elbow stays tucked in and at 90. And you'll just be pushing it out like you're doing this motion against the wall. Again, with this, 3 sets of 10, but we'll just do 1 set here with me.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
For our last exercise, we're gonna do elbow flexion. You're a little bit stronger with elbow flexion and range of motion. So that's why we're going to be using this red TheraBand instead of the isometrics with the towel. So I'll show you. You're just gonna step on that TheraBand. And then you're gonna kind of wrap your hand around the TheraBand. Just make sure you have a good amount of tension. I'm gonna bring your arm up. Do that. And again, 3 sets of 10 normally, but we'll just do 1 set here together.
I need to do my own arm. You just strengthen it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Exercise strengthening for your shoulder. And so with all of those, you would do 3 sets of 10. And you can just do like one of those once a day. So 3 sets of all of those exercises once every day. And I will print that out for her just so she can take that home. So it's a good visual for her to remember it by. All right, Brooke. So the next thing we're gonna do is some occupation-based activities, which means we're just doing some activities that are meaningful to you.
Okay.
So I know you like to keep your kitchen clean. When you make your fruit salad, which will be another occupation we'll do later. So first we're gonna just practice wiping off our counters. So we have our sprayed counter already, and we have our rag here. And then, so this is just working on internal and external rotation with your shoulder and a little bit of shoulder flexion as you go forward. So we'll just go side to side, like that. You come over here and get your sink for that shoulder flexion. And I know your external rotation's not, you know, as well as the others, so just don't overdo it, and don't go to pain. Just go to like where you can. Okay. It feels comfortable. So have you practice that. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. So now we have our counter cleaned. Another thing you love to make is your fruit salad. So that will be our second occupational based activity. So we're just gonna reach in this counter. That's working on our shoulder flexion. You're gonna open that up, kind of shoulder abduction. We're working on that range of motion. And then we're gonna grab our strainer and our bowl. That is that shoulder flexion and abduction as well. And we'll shut that. And then we're gonna go, we just grab those blueberries out of the fridge. So we're gonna be washing our blueberries. So what I'll have you do is you're just gonna dump your blueberries in, getting that shoulder abduction and a little bit of shoulder internal rotation. Bring it over to the sink. Just wash them. And then what I'll have you do is kind of stand in between. You can keep your bowls kind of close as we don't have much range of motion in that external. And then you will just put your blueberries in your bowl here and on that internal, external rotation. And as you increase your range of motion, we'll be able to spread these apart more to increase that. So I'll have you walk through that.
Okay. So can I get these first?
Yes. Get
Okay.
those out. Right, and then we'll go over to the fridge and she's gonna get her blueberries out. And this also is working on her shoulder, her elbow flexion as she's grabbing those blueberries out. And then you're going to, she's gonna be dumping those blueberries. Good, yeah. Perfect. She'll bring it over to the sink. Put on that shoulder flexion, turn on that water. Perfect. All right, and then she's just gonna grab them and put them in her bowl, her big mixing bowl there for that internal and external rotation. And she tries it. All right, Brooke, so for our last occupational based activity, you've told me that you have 2 grandchildren and you love to play cards with them, but that can be kind of challenging right now due to your range of motion with shoulder flexion and internal and external rotation. That's what we're gonna kind of target today with this activity. So we have a deck of cards right here. So you're gonna reach forward, that's that shoulder flexion. You'll bring it in, and then you're gonna be placing 4 piles of cards. So grab it, flip it over, and just kind of do this slow and controlled so we can really focus on that range of motion. And again, this is working on that internal and external rotation as she makes those different piles. Okay, and so you can start whenever you're ready. And normally we would go kind of through the whole pile, or as long as she could stand this activity. But for the sake of this video, we'll have her make 1 more pile, or put 1 more card on each pile. Big job.